Trump's alleged ceasefire deal in Gaza, well, the so-called peace board that would be part of maintaining peace and rebuilding Gaza, its executive committee is supposed to be in charge of implementing the second phase of this 20-point agreement, right? The so-called peace plan. And that includes deploying an international security force, disarming the Palestinian militant Hamas group, and rebuilding the war-devastated territory. It will also supervise a newly appointed committee of Palestinian technocrats who will be running Gaza's day-to-day affairs. Okay, additionally, it will be tasked with overseeing the next phase of the Gaza peace plan. And I just want to remind you all of who's involved, which countries have agreed to be part of this so-called peace plan, right? Because it includes Israel, it includes, other countries. I mean, there was an invite for Vladimir Putin to be involved, and we haven't heard an answer yet. But the fact that you have Benjamin Netanyahu part of this peace board, you have Israel part of this board, to me signals that this isn't really a serious effort in rebuilding Gaza and maintaining peace on behalf of the Palestinian people. They're pretty much an afterthought. In fact, no one who identifies as Palestinian has been invited to be part of this peace board, period. So additionally, it'll be tasked with overseeing the next phase of this Gaza peace plan, right? So the White House says the committee's members include Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, who, if you can remember, salivated over the thought of doing property developments, resort developments in Gaza. It's prime real estate, Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who is a neocon. There's no question about it. Fully on board for the war in Iraq in 2003. Total disaster of a person, especially when it comes to issues of foreign policy. The Turkish foreign minister, a Qatari diplomat. Surprised that Qatari was included, especially since we are controlled by Israel and Israel wouldn't allow something like that to happen. But for now, Qatar is involved. The CEO of Apollo Global Management. The CEO of Apollo Global Management and an Israeli businessman. Do I really need to keep going? Do I even need to keep going? No Palestinians are on the board, and the scope of the committee's legal authority and enforcement tools is still unclear, totally unclear. We don't know exactly how this is going to function in practice because it doesn't even really matter. This isn't about rebuilding Gaza. You have an Israeli businessman and the CEO of Apollo Global Management involved in this. Plus, the board's charter says its chairman, Trump, will have extensive executive power, including the ability to veto decisions and remove members, subject to some constraints. So even though some nations, some countries like Qatar and Turkey are included in this committee, much to the chagrin of Israel, of course, Trump can pretty easily disregard their input on what should happen in Gaza, much like he disregards the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. And here's another major issue. According to Haaretz, Israel is currently refusing to allow Palestinian technocrats who are, supposed to govern Gaza from even being able to enter the strip in the first place. So the committee was set to enter Gaza through the Rafah border crossing this week and basically take over civilian administration. But Israel decided to block them, and now committee members are in Egypt working with the US to approve their entry to Gaza by the end of the month. Is anyone really under any impression that there's peace in the Middle East, that Trump has solved it, or that his efforts here are really about rebuilding Gaza, pushing for, self-determination for the Palestinian people? It's none of that stuff is involved in this. It's so obvious. So, given Israel's refusal to admit them into Gaza, and that's the Palestinian technocrats that are supposed to essentially take part in the governing, sources involved in committee discussions in Cairo said they do not know when and how they will begin work on the ground. Now, a Palestinian source also told Haaretz, an Israeli paper, that Israel's behavior reinforces fears that Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, intends to undermine the committee, because of course he does. According to the source, direct intervention by Trump and international mediators is required to compel Israel to approve their entry. If there is no intervention and permission to enter, then all the talk about implementing phase 2 of the ceasefire will be in vain, he said. Meanwhile, the actual people of Gaza continue to suffer, and that's a real issue. So here's UNICEF spokesperson Tess Ingram.
Continuing right up until today, it's wet, it's cold, and I was talking to colleagues this morning who tell me that the wind is still ferocious. And we're now 3 months into a so-called ceasefire. And what does a day look like, Stephanie, in the life of a child in a ceasefire? Well, everyone, I think, would agree that they should be able to sleep safely, wake up, get a warm drink and something to eat, have a shower, and then go to school. But at the moment in Gaza, children are really only getting 2 at the most of those 5 things. And the suffering really does continue. Even though the world is looking away, we are still seeing, of course, violations of this ceasefire, with more than 100 children killed since the ceasefire began, but also children dying from preventable causes like hypothermia, with 7 children dying already this winter from the cold.
I don't think that most people even need to do this to understand the severity of what these kids are going through. But if you find yourself having a hard time understanding why people like me are so angry about the situation in the Middle East and what's been happening to the Palestinians in Gaza, if you have any kids in your family, maybe take a little bit of time and spend a day with them. Take them to the movies and just understand how defenseless, innocent, precious they are, and how deserving they are of adults who want to protect them, you know? But the slaughter continues. Israeli forces killed at least 11 Palestinians in Gaza on Wednesday, in one day, including 3 journalists, which is not shocking, and 2 boys who were collecting firewood, hospital said. One of the 13-year-old boy's mothers told the Associated Press that he was hungry and went out to gather firewood so she could cook. He told me he'd go quickly and come back. So since the so-called ceasefire was implemented, more than 460 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire, and that's according to the Strip's health ministry. So that's your update. There is no peace in the Middle East, and as long as we continue enabling any country, okay, I know I make it about Israel because Israel's the country we're enabling in the Middle East, but as long as we continue to enable any country to continue committing atrocities, they will continue committing atrocities and there won't be peace. Trump knows that. I mean, he can be a total buffoon, but I think he understands that. But the reality is there's really no daylight between him and Netanyahu. So as much as Barak Ravid from Axios would like us to believe so, that's an op. It's just not true.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.